What's up, everybody? Welcome to some Black-White. Overwhelming Splendor. Hope you're ready to get your nice little curses on. Hope you're excited. Yeah, this deck, it's a, I'll be up front. Hey, this is kind of a little bit more of a Friday Night Magic style deck, but it's a lot of fun. Definitely enjoyed it. This is kind of one of those decks you take it to the tournament practice room. You're like, hey, man, if we get one win, I'm excited, we're good, and then after that, everything else is just a bonus from there. But yeah, let's jump into the deck tech. So, we are playing Black-White Overwhelming Splendor, Black-White Curses, whatever you want to call it. Let's start off with what are we doing? We're looking to get down a hard lock, and that hard lock revolves around Solemnity and the Phyrexian Unlife. So, with these two cards on the battlefield, Solemnity says players can't get counters, and the counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. If we get Phyrexian Unlife on the battlefield, you don't lose the game for having 0 less life. As long as you have 0 less life, all damage is dealt to you as though it had infect, and if you're dealt infect damage, that's going to be in the form of poison counters. So, you get Solemnity on the battlefield, you get Phyrexian Unlife, next thing you know, you get down to 0, and then you just stabilize. Now, if they remove Phyrexian Unlife and you're at 0, you're going to lose the game, but as long as both of these are on the battlefield, and they don't really have an answer for it, you're going to be able to just slowly start to deploy out your game plan. So that's what we have in the deck as a way to kind of hard lock ourselves from losing the game, which then allows us to start rolling out some of our curse cards, which I'm going to cover a little bit later in the deck tech. I just kind of want to cover the ways that we can set up a win condition. So, outside of the Phyrexian Unlife and the Solemnity kind of hard lock, we have some other soft locks, and that's going to be Ghostly Prison. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 colorless for each creature he or she controls that's attacking you. Once again, this is not it's not the best card in the deck, but it's only 3 mana. It allows us to get down, multiple copies of it to really stop any sort of early aggro attack. Let's say we were playing against something like Naya Burn, to where they are running a little bit lower on lane counts. Simply getting something down like Ghostly Prison will really kind of stop their game plan as far as them being able to deal enough damage to you to kind of at least buy you enough time to get some stuff done. So, that's the hard lock, that's the soft lock we have in the deck. We're also running a lot of protection, not a lot, we're running a playset of Leyline of Sanctity in here. If it's in our opening hand, we get to begin with it on the battlefield. But basically, you have hexproof, so you can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So, you're just going to get some. You're playing against Burn sometimes. You get down Ghostly Prison, you're just going to get some free wins from the Leyline and the Ghostly Prison. I played against Mill, and then I put Leyline down on the battlefield. My Mill opponent just scooped. I was like, oh, okay. All right, so there's going to be some wins just with you having a playset of Leyline of Sanctities in your main deck that are going to give you some free wins. Outside of that, it's just going to allow you to protect you from hand disruption. We are very much sitting in a little pillow fort. This is almost basically kind of pillow fort style deck. And so we're going to be sitting in that little pillow fort, we're looking through the little slot, making sure that nobody can see us, and doing our own little, setting up our own little enchantment. So Leyline helps us get some stuff done on that with the protection. So, now let's move on to the curses, the name of the deck, Black-White Curse, Black-White Overwhelming Splendor. So, let's start off with Overwhelming Splendor. Enchant player. Creatures enchanted player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness of 1/1. Enchanted player can't activate abilities that aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities. So, we're looking to get this on the battlefield off of searching off of Curse of Misfortune. So, Curse of Misfortunes is pretty much usually going to be the first curse card that you're going to tutor up once you kind of get one of your locks going. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library for a curse card that doesn't have the same name as Curse of Misfortunes, or at least a curse attached to a player. Put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So you can get Curse of Misfortunes down on the battlefield, and that's going to open it up to where you can start just slowly start rolling out your curse enchantments. So let's say you were playing a really creature-heavy opponent, and we go for Overwhelming Splendor. They're all going to be 1/1s with just base, just regular creatures. And then we can go for Curse of Death's Hold. And creatures enchanted player controls get -1/-1. So let's say that we can't, for some reason, we can't get the Solemnity Phyrexian Unlife combo down. But Ghostly Prison's buying us enough time to get some stuff done. Maybe two Curse of Misfortunes. Upkeep triggers or something like that. So if you want to really make sure that your opponent can't get any creatures on the battlefield, you're going to tutor up Overwhelming Splendor, and then you're going to tutor up the Curse of Death's Hold, and that way they will not be able to get a creature on the battlefield unless they can get rid of these curse cards. So that's kind of the creature lock we're going for. Outside of that, to help us close the game out, we have stuff like Curse of Thirst. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, it deals damage to that player equal to the number of curses attached to him or her. So it's going to allow you to slowly start grinding it out. You know, if you get down Solemnity, you get down Phyrexian Unlife, what are you going to do? Close it out. Once you start getting about 3 or 4 curses attached to your opponent, that's going to be 3 or 4 damage a turn. That's going to slowly kind of grind the game out like that. The same type effect that we have in here is called Torment of Scarabs. A champ player at the beginning of a champ player's upkeep, that player loses 3 life unless he or she sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. So this is usually going to be something you want to wait at least kind of towards the end, just because if they have creatures or any sort of permanents on the battlefield, they can get around that 3 loss of life, or if they have any sort of cards in the hand, because they do have the option to not pay that 3 life. But it's nice to have it on the battlefield, and plus simply just even if they do discard a card, it's going to count towards our Curse of Thirst. So that's the way to kind of make them lose life. The other one, let's say that your opponent's not playing a very creature-heavy deck. So one of the big curse cards you're going to grab first is going to be Cruel Reality. A champ player that at the beginning of a enchanted player's upkeep, that player sacks a creature or a planeswalker. If they can't, they lose 5 life. So most of the time, by the time you get this stuff rolling, they may not even have no creature out there, or maybe you've already got Overwhelming Splendor and then the Curse of Death's Hold. So you can get down Cruel Reality as a nice little finisher, because a little 5 life a turn, turned into a little 4 turn clock, depending on what their life total's out. I think that's all the curses we have in here. Yeah, that's all the curses. So now, ways to tutor up the curses. We do have the Curse of Misfortune, so that's something that's really nice. But we're also running a couple creatures in here. We have Bitter Heart Witch. It's a 5-drop, a little expensive. Not the best, but hey, it gets the job done. It's 5 mana. It has Death Touch. Whenever it dies, you may search your library for a curse card, put it onto the battlefield. So you can actually get down Bitter Heart Witch. Death Touch, you can block whatever creature they're swinging in with, and you can actually turn that into an Overwhelming Splendor, because it is an aura curse and not just a regular enchantment. So even though it is 5 mana, and 5 mana in Modern should be winning you the game, but hey, it is. It's kind of it's a janky deck, so hey, what do you expect? So we got Bitter Heart Witch in here. It's always a lot of fun to get that down and get the block, and let's say your opponent didn't really read the card that good or something like that. We're also running 2 copies of Lost Auramancer. So it has Vanishing 3, enters the battlefield with 3 time counters on it. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last time counter is removed, sacrifice it. Now, and if we have Salinity on the battlefield, counters can't be put on artifact, creatures, or enchantments if you're keeping score at home. What happens is on Lost Auramancers, it enters the battlefield with no counters. And then somehow, once we get Lost Auramancers off the battlefield, either by chump blocking or getting rid of it, we are running 4 copies of nodes in here, so we can destroy it with the nodes if we want to hold on to it in our hand and get that going. We can destroy that and search for any enchantment that we want out of our deck. So that allows us to go for Overwhelming Splendor, Cruel Reality, or jump right into the jump right into the Curse of Misfortunes off a Lost Auramancers, simply just being a chump blocker. Or if you just really can't get into the combo with Phyrexian Unlife and Salinity, let's say we've got one of them on the battlefield, and we get down Lost Auramancers, and we have 3 more turns to get those vanishing counters off, you can still search up an enchantment once you get that last vanishing counter off the battlefield. Once that counter off the creature, and you kind of search up whatever you want to kind of get it going. So that is the tutors. We covered the curses. We have one alternative win condition. That's going to be Sigil of the Empty Throne. Now, this one, if you think about building this deck, at one point I was running as many as 3 copies in the deck. I ended up backing off and going down to about 1 copy of it, just because usually if we're trying to just really push the curses on here, it helps if you just have 1. And there's going to be some times to where maybe you do have the lockdown, and it's going to be a little bit hard to get your curses going, or maybe you're worried about them drawing a sideboard piece or something like that. Getting down Sigil of the Empty Throne is going to allow you to kind of start casting out some of your early 1-drops, or something as simple as turning your nodes, like a useless nodes, into a nice little 4/4 angel. Well, actually, excuse me, the nodes will kind of take care of it if there's no other creatures on the battlefield, so you don't want to go for that. But turning your Ghostly Prison, yeah, just misspoke, your Ghostly Prisons and your Phyrexian Unlifes are your multiple copies of the combo pieces, the hard locks, to turn them into nice little angels. Outside of that, we're running a playset of Night's Whisper. This deck's really clunky. There's going to be some times where you may have like a Overwhelming Splendor in the opening hand, Torment of Scarabs, and like a Phyrexian Unlife. So we're running a full playset of Night's Whisper to just really kind of make sure our hand doesn't stay stagnant. It kind of helps us also work towards going for the Phyrexian Unlife or drawing into the other hard lock combo piece. And then we're running about 22 lanes in here. It could go to about 23, 24 if you want to make sure you get your land drops, but it still seems just a little bit clunky. And then we're also running a playset of nodes in here. The beginning of your upkeep, you destroy the creature with the least power. It can't be regenerated. If 2 of our creatures are tied, you choose 1, and then when there are no creatures, sack the nodes card. So This is kind of our removal in the deck outside of the hard lock. I did try running Path in here. I did try running Oblivion Ring, but I found just trying to push into the combo as quickly as possible, the hard lock was one of the best ways for the deck to really kind of start pushing out the curse cards. So instead of having Path or Fatal Push in the deck, we are running fetch lands in here. I opted to go for a playset of nodes, and we can also use the nodes to blow up the Lost Oromancers or the Bitterheart Witch if we need to go for that to grab a certain enchantment out of the deck. But I think that's the deck in a nutshell. I do have 3 gameplay videos for you up today, and yeah, it was a lot of fun playing the deck. So, and if you think about buying it, go for it. It's a really fun deck to play, but it's definitely something that you would want to take to a Friday Night Magic, or just simply take to a kitchen table Magic or something like that. And in fact, you can definitely go budget with it. You don't need the Horizon Canopies in here. You don't need the fetch lands in here. So you can definitely go budget as far as the mana base is, and just kind of build a cool, fun little deck to kind of play around with. So, but yeah, I have the gameplay videos posted up, and check them out. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.